You straight up cuckooed that dude, bro. Oh my God.
You've got all your Charger gear on because
feeling fresh as hell.
Well, you guys better enjoy it. The fans loved it.
You have to love what you're seeing on tape if you're a Chargers fan, especially for the future with Justin Herbert.
On the move and throws and touchdown.
Do this together.
Players, coaches, staff, fans, together we can create something truly special.
Stay tuned for some good content.
Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the Charger Chat. I'm your co-host, Wolldog, still sitting with my buddy, Kev Huggan Duggan.
This is becoming a thing.
It is.
You and me.
It is a trend now, yes.
Yeah.
Whether it's from Kyle being sick or being at the beach, we are now 3 into it. So we've got a streak going for the No
Yeah.
Kyle episode.
This
So
is
respect
working.
the streak. Yeah.
This is where respect the streak. This is working. I like it. And I want to preface this with I apologize in advance for my wackiness. I just got off a 15-hour day on the film set, and my brain is mushy.
It is on the
So
fried side.
Get ready.
Kev's brain is over easy, folks.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So it's going to be one of those episodes. So hold on tight.
Under your butt.
Plenty to talk about this episode. We've got a new all-in to digest and go over. There's some rules coming out in the NFL, and we've got some killer interviews, and as always, a kick-ass Craig experience. But let's start at the top. All In came out the day that our last episode came out, so we didn't have a chance to take a look at it till now. Let's frickin' go.
I'm so excited, dude. I love this documentary series so much.
It is so well done.
So well done.
It is.
Those guys know what they're doing for sure.
It makes me, when I see the news that Hard Knocks is going to be in Detroit, I'm like, doesn't matter. Doesn't
Honestly, Hard Knocks, I used to get so excited for it. I just don't give a shit about
it
Hard Knocks.
It doesn't matter anymore. There's no reason to care about it because you're going to get all in with just some of the best pieces, man, like to get you excited for what's going on. Obviously the big stuff that they went over, Khalil Mack, Khalil Mack, which, it still really hasn't sunk in the names that we've signed until we see these guys hit the field. Like that's when it's really going to be like, man, we got Khalil Mack.
I know.
Like what is going on?
I love Staley, man. Like he was like a kid at Christmas. Like the smile on his face when Khalil Mack walked into his office was like, okay, this guy got everything he wanted for Christmas and he is ready. You could feel his enthusiasm.
Absolutely. The body language was what really spoke more than whatever it was that he was saying. Like, and especially in Khalil Mack, like every interview with Khalil Mack, he's very soft spoken. He's very, he's one of those guys that, speak softly, carry a big stick. Lets his actions speak on the field, which is so in tune with every other personality that we have here on this team. He's not walking in there going, I'm Khalil Mack. He doesn't have that swagger to him or anything like that. He is very humble and very just happy to be there. So he's very soft spoken. But then when he gets to Staley, you can hear there's just like that little just like
clicks it.
Just
clicks it up one notch,
just a bit extra, because that is the excitement that obviously has been building up to that moment of Staley getting Khalil Mack. And that's the thing. It's like not just Staley talking about Khalil Mack. We saw when in those interviews with Brandon Staley, he's got that Khalil Mack jersey that's hanging up in his house or in his office. That's just like, it's becoming a storybook moment right now of getting Khalil Mack to play with the Chargers. Still just such a crazy, huge name, and seeing him interact with everybody. The comment from Joe Lombardi when Lombardi was like, "Hey man, we had a scheme package for you, but you were just that good."
Well, and it's interesting the comparison between Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa.
Mm-hmm.
I think very similar personalities, kind of quiet, kind of like but they turn it on when it's football time.
When it's time to turn it on, it is on.
And so seeing those guys coming off the edge is going to be amazing. But then the thing is like, I think a lot of us don't really take into consideration is like the leadership. Like you say leadership, you say, you got to have good guys that have been there before on your team, but it really does affect the culture moving forward and how people learn how to do things. So it sounds like Khalil Mack's going to come in. Like, you've already got him with, Derwin James and some of these other veterans. It might take the whole team to the next level, like what they were saying in that documentary.
100%. Yeah. The getting guys like Khalil Mack is an absolute difference maker, as we've seen him play with all these other different teams. And then you get somebody like JC Jackson, who is, again, like, we just haven't seen, like, I think this level on our team in a while for JC Jackson.
I don't remember defense ever being at this level, really. It's been a really long time since we've had anything even remotely close to how stacked this is.
Right. Yeah. It's been a hot minute, man. We've been it's just, I'm at a loss for words for how excited I am to see this guy come in. And then you've also got Sebastian Joseph Day and Austin Johnson. And the thing that kind of struck me as I'm watching this is, as Staley mentions, like, JC Jackson, been a part of a championship. Sebastian Joseph Day, been a part of a championship. Khalil Mack, clearly a leader, just hasn't had that piece of it yet, and really should. It's actually kind of surprising out of all those names that, like, it's Khalil Mack that just hasn't had the championship yet. So bringing those guys in, getting that winner mentality, like, that is what is being brought into this. And people that are familiar with Staley, and as Khalil Mack was also talking about, like, the relationships, man, it is clear how important that is.
Yeah.
And what Brandon Staley brings to this is so energizing, just from watching, as a fly on the wall, the amount of times that he's talking to Khalil Mack and just connecting with him. And I think that is such a different mentality, at least from what we've seen. Again, we don't know the entirety of conversations, so I don't want to necessarily say this as like it's fact, but I got to say, like, when you see people like Anthony Lynn, who was the one prior, he had the mentality of, like, do your job. We hired you for a reason, do your job.
Yeah.
And how hard are you going to necessarily do your job for somebody that has that mentality versus somebody like Brandon Staley, who's like, hey, how was the Bahamas, man?
Yeah.
Let me count the ways for how awesome you are, JC Jackson. You do this great. You do this great. You do this great. Like, how much more are you like, dude, I want to fucking play for this guy. I want to fucking, like, I'm going to do my darndest to get this done.
Oh, for sure. It's the culture that's changing, man. It's
exactly
the big thing that we've needed for a long time, and it's happening. And year one, it started to change. Year two is going to be even more of a change.
It's going to be even better. So I
can't wait
really
for that next episode and see more of what they have behind the scenes and what they have in store. And, I'm excited. This was a great all-in. If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out.
Absolutely. Please go check it out, because it will get you hyped for this season. You're just like, all right, when's the season start? Because, like, I'm fucking ready. And then you look at the calendar and you're like, it's too far away.
I started looking at my frequent flyer miles, be like, I'm starting to do calculations. Like, yep, I should be good.
All right, I should bank this much.
Yes,
all right.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, we're good. Math done.
All right. Well, looking at around the league, it came out today. Playing rule proposal 1 was amended. Both teams are now guaranteed a possession in overtime, but it's now postseason only. It was approved per source. This came from Ian Rappaport. And the official overtime rules, again, just for postseason, which is weird.
At least I'll take it.
I mean, yeah, we'll take it. Don't get me wrong, but weird, right?
It's odd. Well, I think what it is, it has a lot to do with, like, TV. So TV, they expect games to be over at a certain time.
Okay.
This extends how long games go. So, when our games are on usually at, like, the 1 o'clock time or wherever you are in your time zones, you're waiting for that game to be over before it flips over to your game. That's where things become a problem if you do this in overtime games. So
I see.
And playoffs, it doesn't matter because there's only a couple games on a day.
Okay.
I feel like that's why it's only happening in the playoffs.
I could get that. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I like this. I really like what they decided to do.
Yeah. So the specifics that came out for the new, again, postseason playoff overtime rules, both teams will have the opportunity to possess the ball in overtime in the postseason. If the score is tied after each team has possessed the ball, the next score wins. If the team kicking off to start the overtime period scores a safety on the receiving team's initial possession, the team that kicked off is the winner.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So interesting.
I'm on board. It is such a quarterback favored league. We've talked about this before. Everything is set up for quarterback success. The penalties, and you can barely touch people now. Like, you need to give both quarterbacks a chance. You just do. In my opinion.
Absolutely. Well, as we saw in just our own overtime situations, it was just like, man, there were times like Kansas City where it was just like, man, we didn't even get a shot. Like, we just didn't even have a chance.
Just give us the ball once, and you can still play stout defense. Do it and go score.
Yeah,
it doesn't change that much. It just gives you an opportunity. And it makes it more fun to watch. Like, I love watching exciting football.
Right.
And this is setting things up to be more exciting football.
Right.
And if anything, our quarterback is clutch as
Absolutely. Yes.
Sorry. Forgive me for that. That was an unnecessary use of the F word. I don't know why I dropped that in there. Forgive me.
I'm pretty sure I've dropped 3 already, so don't sweat it.
Yeah. There's some scramby eggs up in there. I don't know why I dropped that. But like, he is going to. We are always going to have a really good opportunity in overtime if we get into the playoffs, and I imagine this will go well, and they'll bring it into the regular season at some point.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I'm sure that time block, like you just mentioned, that the time of from one game to another, it's like, well, just change it. The season hasn't happened yet. It's like, no, I'm pretty sure those are well set in stone for years to come. That it's got to take some time for them to like start inching games a little further apart from each other.
Just the tip, just for a second. You just got to ease this new rule in. You don't want to go all in all at once. So
but it is just interesting that wasn't like, well, let's test it in the preseason and see how it goes. They were just like, nope, let's put it in the postseason lickety split.
Actually, it may not be just the tip. It may be, all of it, because they really went for it on the biggest, most important games that are deciding factors.
So, but that'll be exciting. I mean, especially this last postseason, the games were exciting. Like, the games were just gunslinging postseason.
It's that Kansas City game where I think it revealed to everyone like how like a one quick fluke play could undo everything that the Bills did.
Yeah,
and Allen did. So. I don't know.
Trent, we're moving in the right direction.
We are going,
which is what we like to see. What we also like to see is a tweet that came out from Jarrett Bailey, who said the QBs with the most on-target throws in 2021. Number 1 was Tom Brady, understandable. Number 2 was our very own Justin Herbert, who had 527 on-target throws in 2021.
And Tom Brady had 531. So we're talking about 4 throws.
Yes. Yeah, 4 throw difference. So
Patty Mahomes is a little down there, 485.
Yeah.
Carr, 466.
At least 40.
Allen, 459.
At least 40 down from there. Yeah. You know who I'm not seeing in his top 5 is Tua Tagovailoa. So good luck to you, Tyreek Hill. But yeah, I mean, again, just a testament to Justin Herbert, his ability to just drop dimes, and as long as these guys can catch the ball, like that's all we need. Is just got to catch that ding dang ball. So just one more reason for us to be thankful that we have somebody like Justin Herbert.
And we hadn't talked about Herbert like in this way in a while, so we're just like, we got to slide this in.
Sure,
we need to have a little Herbert moment.
We got to remind everybody that we got
to gush on our boy.
Yeah, we've got the quarterback that has the second most on-target throws from last year.
To the GOAT.
The
GOAT that is Tom Brady.
That's right.
Hey, baby GOAT, let's go.
That's right. And if you have a GOAT of your own, you can go to chargerchat.com. And check out some of the great stuff we have over there. We've got shirts and hoodies and stickers and a members section where you can chat it up with other Charger Chatteteers. Tell them all about your GOAT. And you can also ask questions and ask Bolt fam. So if you got a GOAT, I'd love to hear about it. Put it down in the comments.
We're doubling down on this GOAT.
I've got to at this point. So if you have a GOAT, put it down in the comments. I'd love to know, what is the name of your GOAT? Or did you name your GOAT? Are you planning on eating that GOAT? Then it's probably best not to name it. But I want to hear about it. And go to chargerchat.com. All right. Well, as I mentioned, folks, we have got a pretty special interview. How did this even come across, Kevin?
So, we're partners with Bolt Beat, and Jason Reed over at Bolt Beat's a good friend. And he's like, hey, Kev, we got Matt Money Smith.
God, that's crazy.
Want to talk to him? I was like, I would want nothing more in this world to talk to Matt Money Smith.
However,
he's like, okay, however, and then he's like, he's available at this time. And I'm like, okay, great. And then the thing I'm on right now totally just sideswiped me, and I wasn't available. So I wasn't able to do it, but we have a fill-in interviewer. His name is Jason Reed. He's an awesome dude. Of Bolt Beat. And he got to talk with Matt Money Smith. And, it's too good of an interview not to bring it. So we appreciate you, Jason, and hope you guys enjoy this.
All right, let's go to it.
As soon as that clock starts, your ass is mine.
When I met Justin Herbert, man, that dude is big as hell.
The goal is to just keep it rolling.
Come in hype because we have a lot of things to be excited about.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do one word, Jason, but I'll just say, I guess if I did, it'd be defense. I look at last year's free agency and they identified offensive line, and Tom Telesco and his team went out and, found Corey Linsley and then filled in around it. So they got their blue chip, arguably the best center in the league, and they plug in Matt Filer and Ode Abushi around that. And that was their number one priority. We have to fix the offensive line to make sure we take care of our most prized asset, Justin Herbert. This offseason, clearly, Brandon Staley had a vision coming off coordinating the number one defense in the league, and it could not have gone any worse, I'm sure, than he could have possibly imagined.
Yeah.
So they identified, we need to fix that side of the ball. They fixed the interior of the line with Johnson and Sebastian Joseph Day. And I assumed they were going to follow the same blueprint. I didn't think there were going to be, 5 or 6 splash signings. So they got their blue chip in JC Jackson, the number one corner on the market, arguably the number one corner in the league, save maybe Jalen Ramsey the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
And then they filled in around him, right? And the thing that I didn't see coming was Khalil Mack. But my guess is they probably identified Chenna and what that deal was going to look like, and that he was going to get north of 10 mil average annual value, and probably had that long conversation with Brandon Staley about, okay, Khalil's a little bit older. He's coming off a major injury. Chenna's younger. He's gotten better every year. And my guess is this is where some familiarity wins out. And Coach Staley, just knowing what he was capable of doing with Khalil Mack and how he envisions him flourishing in this system, especially opposite Joey Bosa. And I think that's where it really caught our attention. Not only did they re-sign Mike Williams, but they brought in Khalil Mack and JC Jackson. I mean, you're talking about essentially bringing back a Pro Bowler in Mike Williams and then bringing in 2 all pros in Jackson and Khalil Mack.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though, the defense didn't go as expected in 2021, a big thing with Brandon Staley, he established a new culture with the team, it seemed like. Whether it's the philosophy on offense, going for it on 4th down, and just the overall culture, seemed to establish a winning culture. And he seems to really have his hand on the pulse of the decision-making in the offseason. Does this seem, being around the team and being around other head coaches, does he seem like he may have a little bit more pull with some of the decision-making with personnel? Or is this kind of, same decision-making power as someone like Anthony Lynn? It's just, a more aggressive approach.
I think it's impossible to say he doesn't have more. You just see the players that have come in. How many of them are former players of his that he's been with? Whether it's Gerald Everett at tight end that they just signed, or Sebastian Joseph Day, or Khalil Mack. I think it's obvious, that he's got some say, and he should. I think every coach should. That was the case with Anthony Lynn. Look, Tyrod Taylor was a starting quarterback. That's who Anthony Lynn was with in Buffalo. So I think every head coach has that. I do think, it does feel like maybe there's a little bit more. It feels like it's a little uncharacteristic for the Chargers to trade a 2nd round pick for a guy that's got, $60 million left on his deal in Khalil Mack. That's sort of out of character for them. So I think that's probably, indicative that he does have some say, and Tom Telesco and he believe in each other and what they can do together, because ultimately Tom's the one that's going to be held accountable for it more than Brandon Staley is. So they still have to be pushing, in the same direction in order for that to happen. And just kind of going back to your point about, what he was able to establish in year one, no question. I think they believe in that, as an organization from Dean and AG and John Spanos all the way down. They like the product that they saw on the field, and I think it's hard for fans to separate, wins and losses versus, production and playing and feel and culture and identity. You know, ultimately you look at it and you're like, oh, it's a 9-8 season and you lost to the Raiders in week 18 and that sucked. And yeah, it did. You know, losing to Houston in week 15 or 16 sucked. But like, it's a really exciting brand of football. Like, it is fun to watch Charger games. And it's a really young team and they're only going to keep getting better. You know, it's interesting, you know, that it's going to coincide with this dominant sort of era or window of AFC football, specifically in the AFC West, you know, and everybody can't win. You know, there's going to be really good teams that don't get into the playoffs and their fan base is going to be upset. But I think as far as what the Chargers, all you can ever ask as a fan, and I think, you know, as someone who's a little bit older and has, you know, children that are of high school and college age, it's just, hey, you know, bust your ass and do your best. And, you know, whatever the outcome is the outcome, you know, but it's the effort and it's, you know, it's the want and it's the buy-in that you can control. And I feel like the Chargers are controlling that. I don't second guess too much about the way this team plays or the way this team is coached. I know the fourth down thing can rub some people the wrong way, but you know what?
I love it.
Selfishly, I love it. I'm a play-by-play guy. I mean, it's awesome. I get to call fourth downs, you know, do or die. So yeah, I mean, selfishly, I love it.
Love it. Yeah, I'm a big believer in process over results. You look at 2020, 7-9 record, and then 2021, 9-8 record. Some fans might say, hey, there was only a 2-win difference, but an extra game. But the process is different. You could see just from an outsider's perspective, like you said, the philosophy, the culture, hardworking, all that stuff. You know, the 2020 Chargers were 3-9 and won 4 in a row. This Chargers team was a lot different. And I'm also a firm believer in the second year jump between quarterbacks and head coaches. I know Brandon Staley is a defensive minded head coach, but you look at guys like, you know, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, their second year together with Mahomes being a starter. Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll back in the day, their second year together. Even though Staley is a defensive-minded head coach and the defense is kind of the agenda this offseason, do you think we're going to see an even bigger jump from Justin Herbert in his second year in this Joe Lombardi, Brandon Staley offense? Wow.
I mean, that'd be something. You know, I mean, he
I don't know how much there's to jump.
Yeah. I mean, he was in the conversation as the best quarterback in the NFL last year. So, but yeah, I would assume he's going to get more comfortable, even more comfortable. You know, if you go back to his time at Oregon, you know, he was in a new offense every single year, the last 4 years. So that's a lot, you know, for a young player, especially when you talk about the jump to the NFL and especially how much different the offense was under Joe Lombardi than it was under Shane Steichen. So,
yeah,
you know, I think it's, you know, you would have to assume he's going to get more comfortable, and a lot of those option routes and just the comfort inside of that offense are just, they're only going to get more natural to him, especially since so many of the players are back. You know, he's got Mike back. And I think that's why it was so important for them to make sure they extended Mike Williams, you know, just to try to get as much continuity as possible. You know, Eckler will be back. Keenan's there. Mike Williams is there. Okay, you're good. There's your core. There's your blanket. And now we can start to figure out, is it a draft? You know, is it a first round receiver? Is there someone here in late free agency that's still out there that could maybe, you know, compete with Jalen Guyton as that third receiver and Josh Palmer as that third receiver? Is this what the receiver room's going to look like? Who knows? I mean, there's still, you know, we obviously look, trades are being made all the time. Devontae Adams just got traded a couple days ago, you know, so who knows if a guy doesn't get sent out, you know, and they remake things still, because, you know, when you're talking about money, a lot of times you want to, maybe there's somebody out there, but you're trying to find ways to afford them, especially when you look at the offensive line and the right side of that offensive line. I don't know if they're going to bring back Kabushi or they're looking at the draft for free, you know, for a right tackle. If there's still somebody out there that they're sort of kicking around, I think there's still some, to me, there's still some moves to be made, but that's kind of on a tangent from what your point is. I guess what I'm getting after here is I expect Herbert to be just as good as he was last year. I think they certainly identified the offense, especially in bringing in Gerald Everett and re-signing Mike Williams as, hey, that's not going to slide. You know, we can't just assume that Justin Herbert's great and we can let Mike Williams walk and we can, you know, go with Trey McKitty and hope he becomes a better receiver, as great of a blocker as he is. You know, I think they showed their investment there and taking that jump. But even, you know, just kind of building off what you mentioned about Coach Staley being a defensive coach, that's where I think we're going to see the jump. You know, and obviously it can't be much worse than it was last year. But I think the question is how much of a jump, and I expect there to be a sizable move from this defense this year.
You mentioned the draft. I wanted to ask you a question, kind of a two-pronged question. First is who you think, just based on how the roster is built right now, who you think the Chargers might be targeting with the 17th overall pick. And then second part is who you selfishly want them to take with the 17th overall pick as a play-by-play guy.
Yeah. One thing that I've found with Tom Telesco is he always takes best player. I think, there are certain teams that say they do that, but then they end up drafting for need. And I think that the thing that people get confused by is, if the grades are close, then yeah, they're going to draft for need, but if there's a sizable difference in where their grades are and someone slides to 17 that they did not expect to be there, they're going to take them, whether that's an O lineman or a receiver or a defensive lineman or whatever it may be, that's what they're going to do. And I think they've always operated that way. So, who's in play? You see a lot of people are putting Trevor Penning out there because he looks like he's the one offensive lineman that could slide. I think Cross is a more natural left tackle. So I don't think if he slides, he ends up, they may feel good about moving him to the right side, but I think he's a little bit more of that pass protector as opposed to that right tackle sort of run grader. And you know what? Nowadays, it doesn't really matter. You can really flip side. Guys can flip a lot. It seems like they can flip a lot easier. But at the same time, I think if Penning's there, I could see him being really high on their board. I won't be surprised at all if they've got a lot of the receivers graded out crazy high. It's a good class. Yeah. If Olave's there, if Wilson's there, if London's there, I could see them really taking a hard look at that. And then look, obviously, I was at the combine. I got to see it with my own eyes. Those Georgia defensive linemen are incredible. They are giant and they are complete freaks. I mean, complete freaks. So, this was something that I was taking income and doing the Chargers Weekly podcast with Chris Hayre. I've been talking about Jordan Davis for a while, not like I'm alone on some island. A lot of people have been bringing him up, but for some reason, people got this idea that he was a 2-down defensive lineman. It's like, no, they just have depth. The guy was so effective on first and second down and blowing up run lanes and run fits. And they didn't even have to worry about run fits from your linebackers. That guy was in the backfield on every snap. So they were able to rest him on third down and just say, whatever, dude, we can roll these guys through. So he would be the only one that would probably still, he is going to be the only one that would still be available. I don't think he's going to be there. So as much as I'd like to see Jordan Davis, people seem to think, with Johnson and Joseph Day, they've got that squared away, with Fehoko, who I thought played really well in spot duty. And also I like Forrest Merrill a lot too. And I think he'll end up being back on this roster. But if Jordan Davis were there, that'd be great. I'd love to see another corner. I don't think you can ever have too many defensive backs. So if McDuffie was able to slide a little bit, or maybe if Stingley, he's going to have his pro day coming up here. If he shows out, he'll end up going top 12. So he won't be there, but McDuffie might. If he's there, bring him back home, get him back into LA where he plays high school ball. So I'd like to see that. Trying to think of who else could be there. I think that's probably a healthy. I think that's probably what we're looking at.
And then, touching on your duty as a play-by-play guy and kind of your connections with the team, I just want to get your feel for the Chargers, as a whole. So you were named the play-by-play guy in 2017, correct? First year in LA.
Yeah, first year here.
Play-by-play. So you've seen a lot. You had the first Anthony Lynn year, 9-7, promising year, crazy run, 12-4 in 2018. Had the crazy Chiefs win in Kansas City. Came back down to earth in 2019. Kind of saw Phil Rivers kind of sailing off into the sunset. The crazy COVID season of 2020, and then last year 2021, kind of. Justin Herbert's continuing his coming out party, no sophomore slump and everything. And then, they're established in LA. The Chargers are, they've got this new stadium, the market's there. We've seen the franchise value, skyrocket. Is this the most anticipation you've felt as a play-by-play with the fan base, with, maybe inside the building as well, just for an upcoming season? Because it really feels like with Brandon Staley establishing this new culture, with having, you know, as great as Phil Rivers is, I'm #1 Phil Rivers fan, kind of having that elite top 5, top 3 quarterback for the first time since Phil's early years, and everything else with the new city, new market, new jerseys that were great 2 years ago. Is this the most excitement you felt around a team that you've been a part of?
Well, I'll be honest, you know, I don't quite feel it yet. I felt it last year. I felt it last year for sure. People love, you know, Brandon Staley won the press conference. Justin Herbert was the rookie of the year. Derwin James was coming back healthy. You know, I felt like, man, it's not even close, you know, to how it felt the 4 years prior. Because when they drafted Herbert, there wasn't a lot of sizzle there. He was sort of, you know, a quiet, understated kid. A lot of people wanted Tua, especially because of the Samoan and the Polynesian community here in Southern California.
I was guilty.
Big in front. What's that?
I said I was guilty. I wanted Tua.
Oh, yeah. We all did. Look, Tua is incredible. I still think Tua is going to be an incredible pro. I don't buy into the whole he's going to be a bust. I don't think he is. I mean, injuries might slow him down, but he's one of the best college quarterbacks I've ever watched. Just his processing, how quick twitch he is. He's got juice. So, you know, I was guilty of that. But look, we were guilty of it because Mario Cristobal's an idiot. And he didn't use Justin Herbert the right way, you know. Now, look, I say that tongue in cheek because they won a Rose Bowl. So how dumb can the guy be? He was head coach at Oregon and they won the Pac-12 in a Rose Bowl. So that's a great success. But at the same time, that's what you had with Justin Herbert, and that's how you chose to deploy him. So, yeah, I mean, of course, we viewed him differently than what he was able to become because we never saw him perform like he did in the pros. But last year, there was that heat. You know, I felt it going in. I saw, you know, I say it and people think that I'm just embellishing. I'm not. I mean, it's not like I see 50 or 60 of these, but I've seen 10 or 15 of them where I'll see the parents in the Browns jerseys and their kids got the Justin Herbert jersey on. Like that's when you know it's working. You know, Philip Rivers is San Diego's quarterback. He was never LA's quarterback. He was just, it was too long. Yeah, and he never invested in Los Angeles. He wanted nothing to do with it. So he never put himself into this community. You know, Derwin James and Justin Herbert, Joey Bosa and what he's doing with Chalk and, you know, and Derwin and obviously in the community and Justin Herbert, what he's doing with the elementary schools, like they're invested, man. They are out there. This is their city. You know, this team is the Los Angeles Chargers, and they are Los Angeles Chargers. So I think that's a big difference. And then when you add on top of that, SoFi is now open for fans. It is an incredible stadium to watch a football game.
Yes.
So, and now you feel like, okay, now it's not, like you said, it's not this kind of remarkable 12-4 run with guys like Adrian Phillips, or just names that you're not really familiar with. And like, how did we get here? How did we make it here? You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas now there's superstars, you know, Rashawn Slater's a superstar. Eckler's a star. Mm-hmm. Keenan and Mike Williams are stars. Herbert's a superstar. You know what I mean? Derwin's a superstar. So I think that's the difference. And yes, I will suspect I felt the heat on the free agent signings, but I know when August comes around and I'm out, you know, at OCC, at training camp, I'm going to feel it. It's going to be a freaking zoo and it's going to be fun.
Last question for you, Money. Kind of putting you on the spot here. I want one. We love to do bold predictions in this industry. Just one bold prediction from you, whether it's free agency, the draft, it could be about the 2022 season, anything bold prediction, Chargers related, that might be a little bit off the beaten path.
Off the beaten path, I don't know. Look, I think Justin Herbert's going to be the MVP of the league. I think he was in position for that last year. Had they won 2 or 3 more games, I think there would have been a bunch of discussion about that. So I think he's in line to win the MVP. That's I hate doing that, putting those sort of expectations on someone. Hey, you're going to be the best player in football next year, but I expect that to happen. Gosh, what's another bold prediction? I think there's going to be something. For some reason, I just feel like there's something that's going to happen at running back, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if someone gets cut late because they got to make room and they got to restructure. I like a handful of the backs in the draft. I don't know. They would have to, that could be that trade back. Hey, do they trade back multiple times? Do they trade from 17 to 20 and then they trade from 20 to 26 and they trade from 26 into day 2? And next thing you know, they've got 2 2s and a 3, for all of their maneuvering the following day. And then, you're looking at maybe Breece Hall's there at the top of the second round or something like that because someone wanted to trade back into the back end of the first to get that quarterback. So I don't know. I just, I've said this repeatedly when I do interviews, like Austin Eckler is so good and he's so good that it's to his own detriment. Sometimes he never goes down on first contact. So the guy ends up taking like twice as many hits as he should.
Yeah.
And that just can't happen next year. Like they have got to solve that. And I think last year when you saw them constantly rotating Larry Roundtree and Josh Kelly, and the fact that Justin Jackson just has not been able to stay healthy. I feel like that's something that's, I don't know what you would call a splash, or I don't know who's out there right now. I haven't really kind of dug into who's left in free agency or who's been cut maybe recently, but I just feel like there's something's going to happen there.
Thank you, Matt Money Smith. It was a great time. You guys want to check him out? He's on the Petros and Money Show, AM 570, 3 to 7 p.m. And of course, you'll hear him every Chargers game alongside Daniel Jeremiah. It was great to have you on. Maybe we could do this again, during the season if you're ever free. Maybe do like a mid-season update of some kind.
100%. Yeah. Loved it. Really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
You got it, Jay.
MVP. 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 Matt Money fucking Smith. Oh my God.
Is
wow.
So good. Wow. That there's so much to take away from that. And getting the perspective of Matt Money Smith is really that is pretty something special for us to have here on this show. So
100%. Thank you, Jason, for doing that. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Saving the day and asking some fantastic questions. So if you like Jason's questions, I apologize because I don't have as good of questions during my interviews. So
Listen,
I will try my
folks.
best. But you're stuck with me.
As we've made the comparison many times in the past, we're just a bunch of goofy buttholes, and we just like to ask goofy butthole questions.
Amen, brother.
We're more akin to having fun than anything else. But all those answers, Mr. Smith, that was a lot of fun because it's a lot of good points. I mean, you're talking about a team that went 9-8 last year, better than the year before, with a new coach, new system. If there was any slump to be seen from Justin Herbert, that didn't happen. So there's no reason to expect that going into this next season. This next season, it should be just super duper exciting. There's no other way to put it. Like the possibilities, again, with just the free agency signings that we've had so far, all these the defensive side of things, which was where we had our issue last year, like it's getting taken care of here, folks. And Staley's getting the guys that he wants.
Well, and the thing that really just reminded me that this is going to be the first time in Justin Herbert's career that he is in the same offense for more than 1 year.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? I mean, what does that look like? What does that do for this team and his ability to not just run the play, but be able to make checks and understand the nuances better? Because he's a smart kid. He's going back there and studying, and getting better at this offense. So I'm thrilled with that. That was a fun insight that I kind of forgot about. So and I love that he called Mario Cristobal an idiot.
Because he's an idiot.
He's an idiot.
Yeah, and I mean, and not even just getting the same system, but having the same tools. Like he's gonna have the same wide receivers. He's gonna have the same center. He's gonna still have Rashawn Slater protecting his side. So like there are a few changes. Sure, you got a new tight end in Gerald Everett, which is just another target, and we're gonna get a new right tackle, somebody to protect him on that side. And so outside of that, everything is pretty much the same for Justin Herbert. So there's no reason why that shouldn't kick into gear.
Sure.
And just hearing him talk about like the first round possibilities, again, it's just like nobody knows. There's no clear indicator that like we have got to get this position or we got to get this guy.
It's a weird year.
It is a weird year. So it's going to make the draft day that much more exciting to see like who's going to drop. And all the names that he's brought up is names that everybody's brought up. And nice that he's referencing how deep that wide receiver class is, because if we don't get a wide receiver in the first, I'm not stressed about it because there's another possibility just not that far down the line. And whether or not we trade back, that's another possibility. Like, who knows what's going to happen? So, again, Jason, thank you for sitting down with Matt Money Smith.
Appreciate you.
Matt Money Smith, thank you for sitting down with Jason. Thanks for everybody for sitting down. For Pete's sake, I love it.
Thanks for sitting down.
Okay, well, now it's time to go on to the next segment. You know them, you love them. It's the Craig Experience.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Come on in, man. Kick your feet up.
Oh,
Craig Experience.
hello there.
Make yourself at home. Got some stuff to talk about, right? Moving on.
Yo, am I really about to spend money on this draft gear this year? I wasn't exactly thrilled with this piece of work. Who am I kidding? I'm definitely buying this crap. Whatever. CC gang. Big old salute to the rest of the boat fam. What's going on? It's your guy Craig in Texas, and welcome to another edition of the Craig Experience. What's in the news? Well, Tyreek Hill's no longer in the AFC West, so hooray and hallelujah to that. Off to the Miami Dolphins to form another ridiculous, inhuman tag team of speed with Jalen Waddle, but not our problem anymore, at least not twice a year on an annual basis. So we can accept that and roll with it. Now, the flip side to it is that the Chiefs, have 4 picks within the first 2 rounds, which almost inevitably means that they're going to end up with at least a few players that I like personally in this draft. But hey, like I said before, if the trade-off is that to not having to deal with Tyreek Hill anymore, take it all day long because there's only one of that guy. What this also means is that good old Patty Mahomes, aka Kermie, if you will, is going to have to play a little bit more disciplined brand of football. I mean, you don't have that option to flip the field at any given time and give you like 1-play touchdowns. No disrespect to Mecole Hardman, ridiculously fast dude also, but he's not a Tyreek clone by any means. I'll take my chances with him. And that too high shell is gonna come in handy a little bit more. It's gonna force Mahomes, just like it did last year with a lot of other teams, to play a little bit more underneath football, get the ball out to guys, in routes other than goes and posts. You have to take some of that drag route stuff, slants, comebacks, hitch routes, like all those other things that Patty doesn't love having to throw to. But hopefully it works out for him against everybody except us. Now, where the Chargers are concerned, because now free agency has kind of almost come to a complete halt for some strange reason. It's super weird. We're now in the 3rd phase of it, week 3, whatever you want to call it. There's not a whole lot going on. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion something else is going to happen at some point. I don't know, call it a hunch. It's the Craigster Diamonds 10 hat things tingling right now. So if it goes down, then it does. If it doesn't, but they do still have some very clear needs, right? We don't know what's going on at right guard or right tackle. Well, right guard specifically because Odell Bushey's still out there, and we don't know what the deal is with him, if they're looking to re-sign him, if they want to bring in younger blood. We have heard, though, just some chit-chat about, Mr. Matt Filer moving over to right tackle, which is something I was a fan of and a proponent of last season when it became very evident that Storm Norton was going to get our bright shining boy's head taken off at some point in time. It didn't actually happen, and I guess they didn't want to mess with continuity on the left side, which I understood, but look, there's no excuse for it now. Brendan Hymus looked pretty good in preseason. Yes, I get it, it's preseason, but next to the babyface bully, aka Rashawn Slater, he looked pretty freaking good in those few snaps that he had alongside of him. And now we're in a new season. The accolades have already been given. Hymus will be sandwiched in between 2 all-pro players in Slater and Lindsley. I think he'd be able to handle himself, and he's got more than enough help there. And I also feel a little bit more comfortable about a guy who played right tackle at a pretty above average level for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Moving to right tackle for us. I feel better about that than a rookie right tackle. I think you guys would agree. A guy with some experience that's a proven commodity at that position as opposed to somebody getting their first run in the league. I mean, you're not going to pull a Rashawn Slater out of your butt every year in the draft. That's not a normal thing. So we'll see where that goes. But again, I don't want the Chargers to be pigeonholed into any position going into the draft because, well, I'm not going to go into that because it's all positive here. So what we're going to stick to is the fact that there's a level of comfort that should be had throughout the organization for a guy like that, who's a glue guy, already been proven to be able to perform at the position. Just move him on over if you want to re-sign O'Day at that point, or if you want to get, again, another rookie to play right guard, sandwiched in between Corey Linsley, All-Pro, Matt Filer, proven commodity at the position. I'm down for all of that. So, without holding you folks up very much longer, here is my perspective on things. I kind of have an order of things that I would like to see coming up in the draft. Let's just say if things stay exactly the same. If they don't really go after any other offensive linemen or any other real positions in free agency prior to the draft, I'm going to throw something out here. Go with me. Might sound a little crazy. I wouldn't be shocked if they go hybrid safety / corner-ish at 17, if they stick at 17. I know it sounds nuts, right? But what do you know about Brandon Staley? What does he value? Edge rushers, secondary players, interior defensive linemen. But they kind of sort of mostly solved that problem in free agency with the IDLs. He did mention wanting to do the same thing for Derwin that he did for Herbert. If you can get someone who's interchangeable with Derwin, then that makes Derwin's life a whole lot easier and allows him to be who he is. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not saying it's what I think is necessarily going to happen, just something to think about, because right now everybody's talking about like offensive linemen or another defensive lineman at 17. If they stick and stay at 17, personally, like if you really want to know what I would love to do, I would like to see them trade back, maybe pick up that second round pick or actually an additional third round, because there's a lot of value the later you get into the first round, going into the second, third, blah, 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 blah. But hey, those are my thoughts. Fellas, I don't have any questions for you. Appreciate you as always. I will catch you guys next time. Y'all know where y'all can check your boy at, but I'm sorry. What am I talking about? Y'all know what it is. It is Mr. Bolt Gang or Do Not Bang. See me on Twitter at TOP_FLYT3. Or you can catch me at Charge It to the Game on the Flight Deck on YouTube, which I promise, guys, I got something coming soon. There's just been a lot going on these last few weeks, so again, grant me some grace. Anywho, like I said before, catch y'all on the next one. Until then, be good. Okay, love you, bye.
Okay, love you, bye, Craig.
Grant him some freaking grace already, for Pete's sake.
Jeez Louise.
Well, great insight there, Craig, because it does make sense that, like, there are guys that we do have that can play in that position. And, you know, just like we talked about with Tyreek Hill, like, you just can't go to the Tyreek Hill to get a 12-pack of Tyreek Hill. In the same sense, you can't just go get another Rashawn Slater. You can't expect that lightning is going to strike twice. Chargers, maybe.
Oh, fantastic.
You can't expect that to happen. So if that is the direction they go, great, because that's obviously who they think is the best player at that position when it comes time to draft.
But I will say Tom Telesco is much better in the first round than he is in all the other rounds. So trading out and getting more second and thirds, his track record is he lands his first round picks. Those are working for him.
Right.
So just in the selfish, like, I've seen this track record and where it goes, first round pick, kind of hope they hold on to what they got right now and grab somebody solid there, because that's what he's known for.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, it all depends on, there's still free agency moves that could potentially happen. There's still some money to be spent. It does feel like there might still be at least one or two more signings that could potentially come out of this offseason in regards to free agency. But I think, I mean, when you look at Telesco's, track record, and now that he's got Brandon Staley, they know what the plan is. They know the players they want to go for. I would rather they stay in that first round. I mean, you're taking the gamble if you think a guy's going to fall to the point that you want. But I mean, it also depends on what they're being offered. If somebody else wants to trade up into that first, if it's just too good to not to say no to, then obviously then they're going to do it. But draft day is still about a month away, but it is coming up. I am looking forward to it. It is exciting. The offseason just won't quit on the excitement level. So
can't stop, won't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop. Again, Craig, thank you for coming on, buddy. Again, glad to see you're doing all right out there. Hopefully the wind stays below 10 miles per hour for you.
Yes, please.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us here at Charger Chat. Any final thoughts there, Kev?
I just, I'm hoping my brother shows up next week. Like, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'm hoping. I'm hoping the coach comes back, which he should be. But
right. Hopefully he's not a red tomato taking up screen space here.
He'll definitely be a little red.
A little kissed by the sun, if you will.
But
a little sun kissed.
I will say these last 3 episodes doing it one-on-one, I'll cherish them always, Bulldog.
Oh, yes. We'll always have those 3 episodes. Yeah. We'll always have these. So, all right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us here at Charger Chat, folks. Don't forget to bolt up because we're ready for any squad, any place.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.